How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk about stocks and focus on one thing: always protect your profits. We also got to put in the disclaimer: I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. So just know when you do invest, you're doing it at your own risk. And you know what time it is? It is time for the joke of the day. If you are new to this channel, the reason why we do this, you maybe had a maybe you had a stressful day, maybe it was a market conditions, but you know what? It was actually greed. Well, you came to watch this video, plus hear one of my corny jokes. So here it comes. How do you measure a snake? In inches, because they don't have feet. Come on, right? It's not too bad. So anyways, what we're going to be talking about today is ChargePoint. And I'm excited to bring this video forward to you guys because we've been talking about ChargePoint for quite some time. Hey, we've been talking about it recently. And as far as I think it was on the weekend, right? I've been doing so many videos, I can't even keep track. But anyways, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to give you guys the agenda. So the agenda, we're going to be talking about ChargePoint's technical analysis. So we do a technical analysis portion because we know it had quite the run up today, but we need to look out just in case it pulls back or if it passes certain areas of resistance where the price could end up going to. Why is this important? If you are a long-term investor, hey, you might be thinking about building out a position. Maybe you might be looking at averaging down. Maybe you bought in at the high, or maybe you got in really low and you're thinking about averaging up. Anyone who's doing any short-term or swing trade opportunities, if you've been listening and you were in this play when it was in $20 and making that run to 26, that is quite the gain. But you need to make sure you're watching the technicals and knowing how the price action is moving in order to maximize those particular type of opportunities. Then after when all of that is done, I'm going to be giving you guys a quick little bit of a rundown in regards to the market conditions and what we saw today and my final thoughts on ChargePoint, of course. So let's get into those technicals. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for ChargePoint, which ended up closing the day at $26.43, being up 8.41% on the day. When we take a look at the ranges, it ended up testing $24.51 on the low, and on the high, $26.49. So we could see right here right away that ChargePoint has been on quite the run. When I brought it to your attention, it was in the $20 range. It even pulled back into the $19 range. So if you had the opportunity to add, you definitely set yourself up very well, especially if you have some short-term or swing trades where you could take profits right away. But I'm long-term on ChargePoint. I know many of you are as well, so it's great to see some green, right? The one thing that we want to take a look at when we look at this chart, this area of resistance here right at $26, once it was able to get past it, we could see it got right into the $26.40 range where it closed. And I find this very interesting. And the reason why I find it interesting, we still have a lot more room to go. So if we end up having like a minor pullback tomorrow on that morning dip, it will definitely test around the $25 level. As you can see here, this is kind of where we have some support. And then I'd want to see that move where it's literally trying to make that run to 27. If it gets into the $27 area, definitely look out for that 27.50 and then some strong momentum going into 28. 28 is definitely a psychological level here. So if it does pass this particular area, then the next thing, and you see it, 28.70s. That would be the next level to be watching out for. So people are going to ask me, should I be buying in? And I honestly do believe, even taking a look at the RSI over here, it is a bit overbought. And it's quite on the uptrend here. Like it's well above the 200-day, the 100-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. Now, we already know what the potential is of ChargePoint. And we have already seen it, like it's literally tested just under $50 in the past. So if it continues and the market is rebounding and we're going to be going back to those particular highs and stock prices before we had this correction, then the run is far from finished. You could see right over here, if it passes that 28 range, it can easily get to 30 very quickly. But we do know there's an absolute area of resistance here right around this $31.50 to that $32 level. So if it end up testing this on multiple different occasions, it would get hit back down. You could see this over here from the trend here when it had testing again in that $20 area, making a ride back up, selling off, making another ride back up, selling off. Could this pattern continue? Possibly. And that's why I feel like you want to be patient when it comes to this play, especially if you're looking at it long term. But at the same time, if you're doing it long term, you're going to be building out multiple positions over time. We never go in with one large lump sum. So for my final thoughts on ChargePoint, I'm not surprised at all. When we took a look at the 52-week high, ChargePoint got to $50. When there was the announcement in regards to the Joe Biden infrastructure plan, ChargePoint got to $32. Then it ended up being sold off and then it started staying in that $20 range. Even had some moments where it got into the $19 range, the high 19s to be exact. And now we end up getting another update in regards to Joe Biden and how many charging stations he wants. And now we have a run up, and ChargePoint currently being at $26. Of course, at the time of the recording, that was the last price that I saw, was in that $26 range. So the question we need to ask ourselves is ChargePoint going to be able to hold on to its gains? Because we have seen it is definitely a volatile stock, but at the same time, we understand the long-term potential of the stock. So here's what I'm saying. If we don't end up getting any more news, right? So in regards to infrastructure, charging stations, and so forth, then we're going to be seeing a pullback in the ChargePoint stock. And the areas to look out for will be around that $22 range, the $23 range. We see how well it actually ranges throughout the day on the lows and in regards to the highs. It's a type of stock that can go down into the 24s and then get quickly into the 26s. So it does have pullbacks. We already know as far as short interest information, and we did those updates on the weekend as well. We already know where that's at, and that's part of the reasons why we see such swings in price overall in general. But like I say in all my videos, and how I'm invested in ChargePoint is actually long term. This is a stock I'm trying to hold for at least 10 years, because I know as far as electrical vehicles, that's gonna be the numero uno on the road, right? Climate change is a real issue. So if you have the same sentiments that I do, then you're going to make sure, hey, you know what? I'm going to have some ChargePoint because I want to maximize the stock price of what it's going to be 5 to 10 years from now. Of course, what I talk about, it's good to know a stock in and out, like the back of your hand. So anyone who's doing any swing trades, opportunities, you want to make a little bit of extra cash and so forth, know when it pulls back and know when those catalysts come or when there's certain updates, hey, those are ways to catch profit. Like I stated, if you would have gotten even at $21 and sold at $26, that's an extra $5 per share. That is a significant amount, but of course, this is dependent on how many shares you actually purchase. Now, in regards to those market conditions, take a look at the EV sector. If you haven't noticed already, a lot of EV stocks saw a great day today. NIO did well. CCIV did well. Of course, ChargePoint did well. A lot in that particular space. The NASDAQ was great. So being aware of this, notice what the trends are. There's a lot of cyclical trends that happen inside the market. The NASDAQ was up, the Dow was down. Open your eyes. Don't just look at the stocks that you have in your portfolio, but look at the outside factors as far as bond yields, the environment, the news, catalysts. What would move this entire sector? What would happen? Also, take into consideration, a lot of companies are having earnings. Tesla, Apple. So being aware of this, knowing this, then you'll know, oh, so here's the reason why this happened today. But we already know as far as for ChargePoint, of course, it's been having catalysts, and that's part of the reasons why we've been having these run-ups. So as this week progresses, where do I see these stocks, especially like ChargePoint, or even on the NASDAQ, a lot of the tech stocks, the biotechs that we talk about on this channel? Are they going to continue to run up? Well, here's where I'm a little bit skeptical here as this week progresses. I know that Biden has to do a talk as well. I think it's going to be on Wednesday. So usually when that tends to happen, stocks tend to sell off. So I just want you guys to be aware, to know to always protect your profits. Don't be greedy. If we don't get the sell-off, great. Then you're continuing to be in the green and your portfolio is looking good. But at the same time, the last thing that I want for you is to be like, hey, man, this was supposed to be a trade where I was supposed to get in and get out. Now the stock is pulled back and now I got to wait. And in the stock market, we already know time is money. So there's no point holding out thinking, well, you know what, it's going to be running up even higher. No. You got to take into consideration the conditions, what is happening. And that's what I want you guys to be aware of. I just really want to really emphasize this because I know many of you will be like, well, you got me in this one stock. It's pulled back a bit and I really wanted to maximize profits. But I'm like, so why didn't you? Well, you know what? I just thought it was going to go even higher, right? And I've been there before. But that's why I say always protect your profits, know what's going down inside the market, see what the trends are, because once you see what the trends are, you see where the shifts are, you see what certain industries, what certain sectors are actually moving, then you can capitalize, right? And this is, again, for the people who do like the swing trades, the short-term trades, and so forth. Anyone who's going long, like myself on ChargePoint, you already know the deal. Things are looking really good for us, and I definitely do see some more room for upside. We'll talk soon.